What really changed with the LELIT Mara X and the new MX3? Normally I start by talking about the design and looks and aesthetics, but I'm gonna get ahead of myself a little bit and talk about the big deal, and that is Pagaia. That is the new flow profiling device that LELIT has added to the Mara X. LELIT is not a stranger to flow profiling. Previously, you could get a flow control kit for the Mara X, or the Bianca came with a flow control kit. What we're excited about here is this machine is a lot more similar to some of the really high-end $7,000 plus machines. That's a first for a machine at this price point without voiding your warranty by modifying the machine yourself. Once LELIT partnered with Breville brought along their proprietary tech that allows for voltage control to the vibratory pump of this machine. Pagaia is the Italian word for paddle, and that refers to the little paddle on the side of the machine, and that is what modulates the voltage to the pump and gives you access to that flow profiling. We'll talk about what flow profiling is in a minute, but first let's talk about some of the other new things on the MX3. LELIT kept everything I love about the original Mara X. The quiet pump, the advanced temperature stability, the looks. Honestly, that's what I hear most about this machine. People just love the way these look. I think they fit really well in modern kitchens. They did update some of the touch points, so you get these new zebra wood accents, and they changed all of them to have a similar shape to LELIT's gym logo. You'll see that repeated elsewhere, like on the tamper handle and on the brew handle. There's a lot of little cool details on this machine. Also new, you get their tall feet that match the wood accents of the machine, and LELIT is adding a little signature stripe down the side of the machine as a nice accent for all of their design language going forward. The updates move further to the inside with a new heating element. The heating element is a little bit more powerful, and it's also made out of stainless instead of copper. That means faster heat up times and better temperature stability. They reworked some of the programming on this machine, and that resulted in another small increase in stability. You get the same 3 modes and the Steam X mode. So while this is a heat exchanger machine, it's pretty adaptable. In testing, I've seen a variance of just a couple degrees plus or minus. Once you have your temperature set, the machine stays very consistent. We've seen only a few degrees of variance from this heat exchanger, which is really impressive. That being said, it is still a heat exchanger, and so if you want to prioritize steam, you do deprioritize your brew temperatures just a little bit. Practically, this means that if you have a household of people coming over and you're making cappuccinos and cortados for everyone, your espresso quality might not be as consistent as you're used to if you're just making a single shot for yourself. LELIT kept their signature quiet vibratory pump for this machine. A vibratory pump helps keep costs down and allows for some of this pressure profiling we're going to be talking about, but compared to a more expensive rotary pump that could be plumbed in, the lifespan we see out of a vibratory pump is about 7 years. LELIT has done testing on the effects of voltage modulation and pressure profiling on these vibratory pumps, and they say that the effects on the lifespan of the pump are pretty minimal. Why should you want flow profiling on your machine at home? For a long time, flow profiling has really only been talked about by coffee nerds like me, who are kind of obsessed with the difference between a stewed strawberry note and a candied strawberry note in a coffee. And I talk to people all the time who are like, I'm just not into that kind of coffee, so why do I want this on my machine? I think that there's more value to it than just dissecting those flavor notes. It makes it a little bit easier to dial in your coffee, and also helps you to save a potentially bad shot. So if you're running out the door and your grinder's not quite dialed in, it's a little bit too coarse, you could play with that paddle and adjust the flow to be a little bit lower and get a shot that's pretty good, even if it's not all the way dialed in. And then once the weekend hits and you got a little bit more time on your hands, a whole world of experimentation is open to you. These lighter roasted coffees that are pretty tricky to pull in just a flat 9-bar shot become wide open once you can easily control the rate of flow. And why would you want this paddle style, voltage modulation style over a flow control kit? Personally, I found that those flow control kits are not the easiest thing to control and get consistent results from. Those kits are also fairly delicate, and can break. And when they do break, it's not the easiest thing to service. I'm really excited for what the next few years in the home barista world look like now that a machine at this price point has a feature like the Pagaia flow profiling. Let's go ahead and make some coffee on this machine. I'm gonna make the drink my wife mocks me for ordering at cafes, which is a 1-in-1, which is basically you just split a shot. You have one as espresso and then steamed milk in the other. So let's make it. I do have lighter roasted coffee here that I already tamped and everything off screen. I'm not sure how the dial-in is on this, so we might get a little demo on how to save a shot. So let's find out. There we go. All right, got my scale, got my 2 cups. This is one of those times where a spouted portafilter is actually kind of nice. And I'm gonna start with my paddle down low. So let's start brewing. And you can hear the pump. Yeah, it's definitely brewing faster than I want. So let's try and save it. All right, I'm gonna do almost like a polish at the end here. Pull my glasses down. Now I gotta purge my steam wand. This is a heat exchanger machine, so that means you can steam and brew at the same time, which is handy. Good power from the steam wand here. And I always go just to the point where the pitcher is getting to be like too hot to touch. And for me, that tends to be my perfect temperature. Yeah, this definitely could have used another dial in, but we'll see how it tastes in a minute here. I had a bubble approaching and it disappeared. All right, you can tell how light that is. Do I need more coffee? No. I'm doing this for you, the viewers. It smells really good. Yeah, I definitely would go a little bit finer on the grind size with that, but the paddle helped me to take something that I normally would have just thrown away and actually make it kind of drinkable. So I think this is an exciting opportunity to help eliminate some coffee waste, which I know is a big concern for a lot of people these days. Let's taste it with the milk. That's really good. Do you ever make a 1-in-1 for yourself or try to order it at a cafe and get confused looks from the barista? That happens to me, and I'm hoping I'm not alone there, so let us know. So what are your thoughts on the new MX3? Leave a comment down below. I really enjoy reading through those comments and reply when I can. Do you have experience with a machine you've hacked yourself to do a similar sort of pressure profiling thing? Tell us about it. We want to hear. While you're in the comments, you can also find a link for our newsletter in the description of the video. If you sign up, you'll be the first to know about promotions, new products, just anything Seattle coffee gear and coffee in general. All right, this is a message specifically for Ryan at Breville. If you're not Ryan at Breville, you need to turn off the video or just go to the next one in the playlist, whatever you want to do. Ryan, the tall feet do make a difference, and I do prefer the zebra wood over the oak. So I think you were right about those things. You made a big deal out of it. I agree.